Hi, and welcome back to the magnificent Menopause Connection, where we are unlocking secrets to transform with embodied wisdom. And today we have with us Sarika Linda Rockow, and she teaches the science of yoga and Ayurveda internationally. She empowers her students with universal concepts and practices that reliably build inner energy and outer strength, allowing for wise and unbridled self-expression in the world. She's been a yoga Ayurveda professional for 25 years, and her knowledge comes from dedicated study with world-renowned yoga Ayurveda masters, combined with a devoted personal practice. She delights in holistic business ventures and product development, and prioritizes time for meaningful community building and service. Her personal purpose is to live her life to the fullest with clarity, joy, and compassion. And she loves walking her dog while listening to audiobooks, hiking in the deep woods, cooking, and great music. And whenever she hears a good beat, rest assured, she'll stop in her tracks and dance for a moment. You can reach her at saritalindarockow@gmail.com. Welcome, Sarita.
Thank you, Beth. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. So tell us a little bit. I mean, this word Ayurveda, it gets thrown around a lot. And can you tell us, what is it? What is, if it's possible? It's a huge thing, but see if you can define this for us.
It's really not that huge. It's just like everything. It's like there isn't anything that's not part of Ayurveda, because Ayurveda is the science of life itself. So it's like, it's for people that really want to understand and plug into the flow of life and not go against the flow. So it's for people that like an easy life, would want to understand what's the flow and how can I plug into the flow and be supported by what's natural and what's already in a flow of life. So that's what Ayurveda is. It's understanding the flow of life. So everything is Ayurveda.
Wow. So how did you come to study Ayurveda?
I came to study Ayurveda when I was a yoga teacher and saw an article actually in Yoga Journal about Maya Tiwari and her school in North Carolina. And as soon as I saw it, and I saw her in her like flax dress and her short hair, and she was like in namaste, and she looked so peaceful with this background of just this woods and, cabins. And I was like, who is that? I had that moment. I was like, who is that? I have to know who that is. And at that time, the article and everything, at that time, you had to write a letter. There was like no cell phone or texting or messaging, or you had to write a letter to the school. Yeah, that's how old I am. You had to write a letter to the school and, request information and express interest, and then received a letter back and basically could apply for a course and had to send a 7-year history, and got accepted to a course and went to the course, and the rest is, I was enchanted by being in the woods and being with this person who was just so connected to nature. I just so like kind and connected, and it was just a beautiful experience. So the relationship that was like in 1996, and a very long-standing relationship with Maya Tiwari, and all kinds of adventures in all kinds of ways up to
So I like to give like really specific examples or specific things that people can use and say like, oh, this is Ayurveda. What are some really basic principles. I was thinking of the dinacharya, which are the daily rhythms that we
Mm-hmm.
use to get ourselves into balance. So
Mm-hmm.
can we talk about those for a little bit?
Well, we talk about like there's habits, there's definite
Mm-hmm.
habits like
Mm-hmm.
when you want to be in harmony with nature,
Mm-hmm.
you sort of behave like a plant or like you get up with the sun,
Mm-hmm.
your
Mm-hmm.
flower opens with the sun, and when
Mm-hmm.
it's dark, you go to sleep and you retreat.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about when you get up in the morning and you go to sleep, in the
Mm-hmm.
evening when it's dark, and
Mm-hmm.
eating at the height of the sun, when the sun
Mm-hmm.
is the hottest,
Mm-hmm.
because you and the sun are the same. Your digestive system and the sun are the same quality of element. It's fiery. It's trying to digest food. So when the sun is the hottest, you're going to have the best digestion. You can metabolize and digest, and so that makes everything easier in your body because you don't have any undigested food floating around in your body. Everything processes and becomes you. So you take in the food that's the earth, and then that earth becomes you.
Mm-hmm.
And you keep this relationship going all the time. Um, timing is like everything in Ayurveda. You're always looking at when would be that you can get so specific with it, even when certain organs are more active or passive, or what's happening in the body. You can understand imbalances by understanding timing in
Mm-hmm.
general.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Like
yeah.
what I'm thinking about is the you wake up in the morning, you clean your tongue, you brush your
Mm,
teeth, you drink
hmm
water, and you poop. That's
hmm
like that. And when I meet people from India, like that's what they learned how to do
mm,
growing up. That's just they were taught as small children. That's how it works. And
hmm
when we do that every day and encourage that every day, we get up with the sun, we wake up, we clean our scrape our tongue, which starts to stimulate the digestive system.
Right. I was going to say stimulates already, starts you
Yeah.
getting.
And
Hmm
drink water, a big glass of water. And then it starts to turn on our digestive system. And then that eliminates everything that's built up in our body overnight, toxins, the waste in our food that has
hmm
passed through. And
Yep.
there's a process called autophagy where the cells like die off, and that all of that gets like flushed down the toilet first thing in the morning, and then we're ready for the day.
Right. And then we move, and we want to move the body and get everything flowing, because one of the main principles
Mm-hmm.
of Ayurveda is life is the flow of prana.
Mm-hmm.
If
What's
everybody
prana?
just remembers that, life is the flow of energy. When
Mm-hmm.
energy is stuck, we get dull and less alive.
Mm-hmm.
When energy can flow freely, we get bright and alive and um, happy and creative and
Mm-hmm.
everything else. So life is really the flow of prana, and that's one of the main concepts of Ayurveda is make sure the flow can be natural and effortless in the body. So all those things we do are really to support energy flow in the body,
Yeah.
circulation, and you know energy moving in the body. You know how you feel when you're stuck?
Right. Right. And what I'm thinking about is like in medicine, actually, Keisha Ewers, who's on this summit also, I heard her say once that functional medicine is proving what Ayurveda is known for 5,000 years.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how do we get people in the flow? Because you can talk about it, but like, where do you start, really?
Mm.
So you were saying creativity, like flow in that, getting into the flow of creativity. Like, how do you get in the flow of creativity? You set aside time to be creative every day,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And then
Yeah.
that's almost, I'm thinking like, remember those merry-go-rounds or the jump ropes. Like, how do you
Yeah,
get
yeah.
into that
Jump
flow?
in.
You've got to like figure out, get the timing and
Yeah.
jump on.
Yeah, and it's like, and another teaching of Ayurveda is you can start with any one thing, just one of those habits, like get up at sunrise, one habit. Just do that. Get up at sunrise. All the rest of the habits start to fall together. It's amazing because you know what? If you get up at sunrise, you're going to be tired to go to bed earlier. So now that habit is going to lead to you're going to go to bed earlier. If you're going to go to bed earlier, you're going to eat earlier in the day. So now that's going to lead to when you have your food.
Yep.
So it's like no matter which one you start with, it all leads to the next because you take a step toward being more conscious and more aware, and awareness opens, and the next step is there. You just have to take one step
Good.
toward. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, that's good. And another concept in Ayurveda was that was helpful for me, that it took a while for me to like really wrap my brain around this and like really embrace it, was that I am an animal on the planet. So I see the deer in my backyard, and now they're like, I feel like they're my sisters. I talk to them, and they're having their morning, I'm having my morning. Just connecting. And then we connect with our pets and connect with the plants. And when we can identify as a life form that's running around on the planet, it helps.
Yes, like non-human life. Like we're
it's all
not,
life.
it's all life. It's all divine, it's all life. And not oppressing what isn't human. We think we're like all that, we think we're just so powerful that we can, abuse nature and all the other things. And, but even just those, one habit, taking one habit and embracing it eventually leads, I believe, what I've seen over and over again, is it begins to lead to more of like a humility. Like I'm not above anything else alive. And that's what Ayurveda right sizes the ego in that way. So so there's more harmony between all life forms, and there's not a hierarchy. Like I'm human, therefore I'm overpowering the animals, or I'm overpowering the plants or the earth. No, because you begin to right size and see, oh wow, we're all in harmony, together. We're all part of the same flow, like being in the energy and the flow. It's very powerful. It's
It
very,
really is.
yeah.
And I was just thinking, like, I have more stuff than the deer.
Right?
They don't even have to wear clothes. It's so awesome. But they also don't get to like sleep under a big comforter in the winter.
Yeah.
They take care of themselves. I admire them for their resilience and their perseverance to like hang out in the snow in the winter. Yeah, that's
such gentle animals.
oh, they are. They are. So how does Ayurveda show up for you? What kind of things do you do?
That's a hard question to answer because
I mean, it's your life right now, right?
it's like, I mean, it's really a curiosity for me. It shows up as curiosity, wondering how I can take responsibility for myself, how I can have I'm really into the power of choice. Like no victims, there's no victimhood. And I'm into this, into really understanding that I'm choosing. My power of choice is a superpower for me. So what I choose is really relevant to what I'm creating, like my next day, the day
Mhm,
before. How do I
mhm,
want it to be? And
mhm,
so, the choices that I make day to day, I understand there's always going to be a backlash or a repercussion or a gift or whatever to choices. And so I
mm,
think that's probably one of my biggest understandings is that, we have the power to choose an easier, more fluid life if we want to do that. Um, and so choosing certain habits, choosing a quality of food that supports my prana being stronger, my energy being stronger, my physiology being stronger, so
mhm,
that I have more energy to do all the things I love to do. So I feel like dancing if music comes on because I have this lilt in my energy field. I'm like,
mhm,
ooh, like I can't wait to get up in the morning or whatever. I'm
mhm,
not like, blah, kind of I have the energy to do my life and use every moment of my life the way I want to, so I'm not leaving any stones unturned. Kind of like always having the bucket list. You know what I mean? Just
yeah,
yeah, just living the best, fullest potential, and that all stems really from what we choose day to day. It's not like we never choose to break rules if there's such a thing as a rule, because it's important sometimes just to be in fun and Leela and I don't know, eat a potato chip if you want to or
yeah,
whatever, but it's not the norm.
right,
Um,
right. I can't eat
because I'm
just one.
choosing according to how it's like this mechanism, like what I do, I can control how I feel. I
Uh-huh.
can feel
Right,
different
right.
depending on what I'm doing. It's so cool,
And
you
and you
know?
mentioned that concept of ease. I remember
Mm.
starting and I was thinking, ease, like,
Right?
how do you get there? Like our lives are so complicated. Like how do you get to ease? And like you just start doing one thing and then what was true for me, and tell me what was true for you. When I found that I was falling into planetary rhythms, waking up with the sun, going to bed with the sun, um, allowing the doshas or the three energies of Ayurveda to flow, like the pooping first thing in the morning, eating the biggest meal at noon, um, and winding down in the evening. Um, it, there just weren't as many options, and weren't as many decisions
Yeah.
really to make, and that was ease.
Mm. Yeah,
Once,
exactly. Life becomes simpler. You know what
yeah,
came into my mind when you were
mm,
saying, like, how do you get to ease? The
yeah,
first thing that came
yeah,
into my
yeah,
mind is like, stop watching television so much, like don't watch TV. Like don't be marketed to in that
right,
way.
yeah,
Like all the regular stuff that people think they have to do and have.
mhm,
And like see what happens if you fast, like do that one thing. Just fast from that and see what happens if you instead read something about wellness or Ayurveda or watch something in that way or do this summit, um, whatever it is, in lieu of the typical things where you're not even realizing, but in the subconscious is a sponge,
yes,
so you take in all this and then you're like, it get overwhelmed, you know let that all go for a little while and
mhm,
see what you really feel, not what you're being told to feel. And
mm,
um
mhm,
and it's a whole different world. It's a whole different world.
yeah.
Hmm.
And along the
Yeah.
same lines, I'm realizing that um, I have things in my home, and every time I look at them, I have to think about them and why they're there and why they're sitting out on the
Mm,
counter, or why they're in the drawer,
mm,
and clearing that out and simplifying. It's like a draw to declutter,
Space.
to throw it away. And we are speaking with we have a speaker who's a KonMari Marie
Oh,
Kondo
yeah.
expert consultant on the summit, and just like throwing things away. So when you open a drawer, it's like, oh, instead of,
Because space is the
oh.
first element.
Mm,
Space is the element of intelligence.
mm,
So when you have more space in your home, you have more flow of intelligence. When the
mm,
space is narrowed and you're just all like, ooh, there's less of that flow. Don't you
mm.
feel it when your home is like really clear and
Yeah, yeah.
ideas flow? It's a different kind of thing. So the elements are relevant, not just as elements that you think of elements, that we think of, or they're relevant to everything, personality. So this is a really important point that I feel someone who doesn't know much about Ayurveda should know.
Mhm.
Understanding life in this way takes away guilt.
Mm,
There's no more guilt because everything is just a response to something else.
mm,
So there's no like,
mhm,
I was hot-headed and There's no more like judgment or guilt.
mhm,
It's like,
mhm.
you know, I could see that, there's a part of me that's just way too inflamed. I have too much inflammation. I'm reactive.
Mhm.
I'm and I can know what to do about something like that.
Right.
Instead of feeling like I'm lazy. I'm lazy. I'm such a lazy person. There's another way to look at that. I have a lot of earth elements, so I need to, and that's heavy and that drags me down, and I have to
Mhm.
learn how to use da 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 or do this or that. And so it's learning to understand that everything is an effect, and it's
Right.
not all about your mental, you know.
Right. So we're talking about the gunas, right?
Yeah,
The opposite energies. So in
yeah.
Ayurveda, there are these energies that they've defined, and the way that if someone was feeling heavy or overweight
Mm-hmm.
or like a couch potato,
Right,
depressed, all of that, we would use one of the opposite energies, the opposite guna,
right.
to treat that. And what are the properties of that? And you would want to eat
So you would,
food that was like
yeah,
that. Or what else? What else would you
or
do?
lighter, or like you think. I mean, the way, and it's not just Ayurveda. I mean, it's like it's very common sense.
Mhm.
Like
It
if you
is.
think of it that like the gunas like this, like think of it like it's a scorching hot day and you're at the pool and you're laying on your towel at the pool. Are you going to pull out a thermos of soup and eat soup? Or are you going to like grab the popsicle guy going by and you're going to get a popsicle? You're
Yeah.
not going to want to eat a thermos of soup because it's like it's so hot. You're already hot. So what gunas, it means that like increases like. If it's so hot out and you're in the hot sun in the middle of the day, you're not going to want to eat hot soup. You're going to want to eat something cool to cool you down.
Right.
So that concept just carries through everything. And you can get as refined with language, but
Mhm.
it's really, the language is the language, but it really can be brought down to that simple fact of, understanding that like increases like. So
Mhm.
many times the opposite quality is the healing quality in a
Mhm.
situation. And then you can get as refined as you want with that. You keep understanding it deeper and deeper and deeper as you go along. But it's pretty simple when you first think about it. You can
And
go a long way with just that.
right. But and I'm thinking we are out of balance in our culture. So
Mm,
that on the 4th of July, where it's hot, we should all be eating salads. But what are we
mm,
eating? We're
mm.
eating potato salad, which is
Yeah,
heavy and fat,
right.
and hamburgers, which are hot. And that's going to throw us even more out of balance. So,
Yeah.
giving ourselves the space, allowing that space to feel into what's really called for right now.
Hmm.
What would really feel better, a salad or a
Hmm.
hamburger? How am I
Yeah,
going to feel after I eat it? Like,
that's the operative thing. What you get the
mm,
power of choice because you
mhm.
could be like, you know what? It's 4th of July. I'm having that hamburger because it's fun.
Yeah.
It's okay. You're just going to know probably July 5th. Maybe you're going to feel sleep in and you won't feel as energetic perhaps
Right.
or whatever. Later that day you'll be like, "Oh God, I ate those burgers and those potato salad." So as it's just be conscious of what you're doing,
Hmm. Hmm.
and know that you made a choice and you can make a different choice.
Yes.
That night maybe you just don't eat the rest of the day and you go to bed at, and just fast and
Yeah.
not eat the rest of the day because you ate all that or whatever it is that your choice would be.
It's
So
true. Yes.
Ayurveda's like informed choices. You can
Yes.
understand why you make certain choices and
Yeah.
how it'll affect you.
Right.
That's a good way to look at it.
Awesome. Um, can you tell us, since this is a summit about menopause,
Yeah. Yeah.
what how does Ayurveda view and explain the changes that happen in menopause?
Well, I think that the main point that I wanted to bring to you or bring to
Hmm.
the women watching is that menopause really is a rewiring. It's a natural rewiring. It's a natural way that your body is transitioning, if you've the term Shakti, or the feminine energy,
Hmm.
instead of the energy going to your reproductive system to make babies,
Hmm.
the energy is really going to still creativity, but from a deeper wisdom place of
Mm.
being the wise woman, the creative entity in that way. So it's really just a shift of how the same energy gets used in the body. And there's, of course, there's physiological changes. So, there's going to be doshas, the qualities of the body are going to, depending on your dosha meaning how elements are accumulated in you.
Hmm.
It's menopause manifests in a lot of different ways.
Hmm.
There's not like one answer as for everybody because it just depends, just like everything else does in Ayurveda. It
Hmm.
depends on you personally, which is another beauty of Ayurveda because it's not a one size fits all ever,
Hmm.
ever, ever. It's always looking at the whole person, all the dimensions. So I would say, one tip that I would say, or one thing I would want to bring forward is if you're not already approaching menopause, menopause is easier the healthy you are or the more balanced you are when you come into menopause. Now, that being said, menopause is really a self care meter. When you're going through menopause, your body cannot handle the whole like non self care as well. So it's like right away, you're not sleeping enough, beep, 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 hot flashes, headaches, your body is using energy, the energy of the womb, which is 90% energetic, 10% physical, according to Ayurveda. It's rewiring that energy
Mm.
in a whole different way now. And
Mm.
it needs your cooperation. You need to be able to give it the time and the energy and the nourishment and the rest to be able to make that huge shift into wisdom.
Mm.
So I just, think, or not that I think, but I believe that menopause is really a meter. Um, it's a continuum. It's not like one thing,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's not like, oh, menopause, one thing, menopause. It's like
Yeah.
it varies. It varies depending on where you're coming from. So if it's your opportunity, if you've been abusing yourself and not taking care of yourself and living the fast life, and you
Yeah.
get to menopause and you're uncomfortable, then look at it from the perspective of you're getting the cue to now up level your self-care.
Right.
And you're feeling all that was going on before. Whatever you're feeling, hot flashes just showed up a different way in Pitta or in the fire in you. It showed up. It just wasn't quite the same energetic intensity that it is in menopause.
Right.
So,
Right.
um,
Yeah, I really
yeah.
saw that. I found Ayurveda um, before my perimenopause, or maybe like probably even during my perimenopause, because I
Mhm.
was starting to not feel so good.
Mhm.
And um, having that job where I delivered babies and was up all night, that became harder and harder. And then, just
Yes.
I was really driven to stop that. And it was right before things really got crazy.
Mm.
And I think it was me following that ease, following the messages
Yes.
that this is not sustainable anymore.
And listening to that
Yeah.
inner voice, just giving yourself a little bit of time and
Hmm.
listen because it's not going to lie to you. Listen to that inner voice,
Yeah.
and recognize it as a spectrum, not as a solid thing. It's menopause is a spectrum. So depending on how you're coming into it will depend on what you're experiencing, but it's always, always, always trying to balance you. So
Hmm.
be grateful, shift the way you think about it. Oh no, I have these horrible hot flashes. How do I stop her? What, give me a pill, give me something.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, oh, oh body, you're trying to tell me something. Maybe I need to rest more. Am I drinking enough water? Am I getting enough, nourishment? What
Hmm.
kind of nourishment am I taking? Am I
Right.
pausing? All
Right.
those things. So it's a meter. It's just giving you a little alarm system
Hmm.
that tells you, do you want to make it? Do you want to be in your wisdom years for another so many years of, okay, tune up a little bit in these ways so that you can sustain the high vibration that you're creating now. It's a vibration.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
You're
Exactly.
changing vibration.
That's beautiful. Exactly.
Right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, it's super powerful. So that the Pitta, the goddess Durga, the part of us where we,
Yeah.
it
Fire.
it shifts. It shifts in
Mm-hmm.
menopause to this sit back in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, you really think you're going to mess with me? I don't think so. And then the wisdom comes forth in
Yeah.
how you present and how you use your energy after menopause. You use your energy really judiciously. You don't waste it anymore. You
Mm-mm.
know who gets it and who doesn't,
Yeah.
where you're going to put it, and
Hmm.
where it's going to be worthwhile. And you see, because you're wise, putting my energy there isn't going to really be worthwhile right now.
Hmm.
This is a good use of my Shakti or my energy, because a woman's energy is a force.
Hmm.
It's a creative force. Wherever we put energy, creation occurs. Not babies anymore. Creation
Mm.
of all kinds of dharma,
Yeah.
whatever our mission is, we
Right.
begin to really bring it forward.
Well, I was just
Yeah.
thinking, this is like the time in life where women are becoming the matriarchs.
Mm.
Yeah. So they're not taking care of like the small children. They're managing the whole family. right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Extended family.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
happening a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm one of those actually.
Yeah.
Actually raising my grandson. My husband and I
Mm,
are raising
wow.
a teenager right now in these
Oh,
years. Hmm. That's quite
yeah.
a,
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. That's a
Yep.
big feat.
Yep. It's a big deal.
Ah, well, thank you
Yeah.
for your time and
Yes.
insight and wisdom and everything that you shared.
I hope that this was helpful. And
Oh,
yeah,
I,
thank you so much for this great, juicy conversation.
oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for joining us.